Dr. Helen Song. She got her doctorate of education in 2007, actively worked in the public school system as school educational psychologist for 30 years, including Chicago and Silicon Valley in California, and licensed practitioner. She is an adjunct professor at Alliant International University since 2008 in California, School of Education, Master and Doctorate of Educational Psychology programs. Her research interest focused on a qualitative method to promote emotional intelligence within the cultural context across home and school. Her work got published in School Psychology International, Journal of Educational Practice for Social Change, and International Journal of School-Based Family Counseling. And international, I'm sorry, she presents her research in National Association of School Psychologists Conference, in the teaching series in International Association for School Psychologists Conference. And of course, she is a presenting member of Oxford Symposium of School-Based Family Counseling since 2011. And I think, Helen, I met you in Venice,
yes,
right?
Yes, 2 years ago.
I'm so happy to meet you again, and I welcome you, and please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here and to be amongst people who are so passionate about their work and just to improve the lives of children and family and to have that common passion. I always enjoy being here at Oxford, and I just appreciate this opportunity to share my work and just kind of give you a little background of how I'm doing with this. Is that I had the opportunity to do parent education training on campus at a school site, and it was during the time of transition for that particular elementary school where we're trying to support children's emotional needs by having a no homework policy where students were so stressed over homework, and it's such a highly academic driven community that many of the teachers felt that it was inequitable because not all parents could support with homework. And so there was this transition that was going on, and some of the parents were like, no, you can't take that away because that's the only thing that we can do with our kids. And there was a lot of upheaval, and so I had conversations with my administrator, and that thought this was like a great opportunity to educate parents on emotional intelligence and how to parent emotionally well. And so it was really administrative support, and he had organized it and got parents to register and provided the space and the time for it. And it was just such a privileged experience and just a thoroughly positive experience that when I was asked to write this report, I decided to look at it with a lens of it being a post ex facto study, meaning it's after the fact of the presentation and the training, and getting the parents' feedback about their thoughts and reflections about how this training went for them. And so that would be the part of my presentation today. So, as early as 2007, in the cultural study that I have done, there was a clear separation of those with high emotional intelligence and those with low emotional intelligence, and the interaction patterns that happen with parents. And it was really about their way of beliefs and values that really drove their interaction patterns. And it's very consistent with some of the theorists that we are familiar with Bronfenbrenner's theories, in talking about how the macro system and the meso system and the micro system all kind of work together interchangeably, and that the values about the macro system about being rewarded, being the meritocracy kind of system where only the best survives, or in the sense where the very competitive environment, and in the meso system where we're talking about climbing the ladder and being in a position of status and power and what success means. And at home in the microsystem where parents are trying to prepare their children for success, and that their focus is on the academic success, or that they want what is in the children's favor in terms of what to prepare in a competitive environment, competitive society. And it also kind of goes back to the children's experience and what they're learning and how their cognition is developing through their experience. And we're looking at their environment and the ecological model about the influencing factors that impact children's emotional need. And so with all this theory in mind, the training that I had developed was about the environment and was about the culture that is promoted. And here are some studies about emotional intelligence and particular parent style, or the parenting skills, where more responsive parents who relate to children emotionally, or those parents who are involved, who support autonomy and are warm, and those parents who have high emotional competence, meaning more higher emotional intelligence. Those parents, have children who have higher emotional intelligence. So that is saying that there's more need for education and training with parents regarding emotional intelligence. So this is some of the literature that kind of supports that. When we're talking about A to Z, and why did I think about this idea? Well, when we're talking about culture, when we're talking about changing behavior, it takes more than just one-time training. It takes more than just a workshop. And people walk away from that and kind of put that on the shelf and go back to their old ways. And so as we're talking about, how do we get people to practice, to repeat, to think about and reflect for a prolonged time? 26 letters, 26 different themes, all building on each other seems to make sense. And so that was the idea that came about with this 26 letters in the alphabet, to really promote change, to really get parents to practice over time. And I'm going to go through the overview of just the whole A to Z, to kind of give you a sense of what the topic is about and what the theme is about. And this type of training is a little different than other parent trainings, where they talk about how to do things, or how to manual for addressing tantrums, or how to manual for helping students with homework or what. But it's not a how-to manual, but it's more about why do we do what we do? Why do we perpetuate certain behaviors, and what are those thoughts and beliefs that keep the behaviors going? And when we talk about why, and to change the way we think about things, it's going to affect the how, about why we do certain things. And I made this more of an interactive kind of training, where I pose questions and there are quizzes to get parents to reflect and think about their own thinking. And it was actually very interactive in the way I presented them. So taking that into mind, A is about attitude of acceptance. And I share with parents about the challenges the parents are having with acceptance, where they have this ideal image of what they want their child to be like, and their way of communicating is about being compliant, being obedient, and just do well in school. And that's the message that is always given to the kids. And so it's really hard for them to accept the weakness of students and of their child, and to accept the whole child. Sometimes they go through this mourning process, where it's when the child is not the way they want the child to be, and they kind of feel like they're able to mold their child into somebody that they would like to, and their idea of success. And so it is really hard for parents. So this is the very first thing that we talk about. And then we talk about balance, and there are all these different areas of balance that we identify. And they get to kind of think about what areas are they balanced or what areas are they not. And we talk about how it really impacts the brain development, where, if you don't focus on only one area, the brain does not always function and in the whole capacity, where it prunes away the areas that's not being used. And so people can become rigid in certain ways over time. And so talk about the importance of balance and have them think about, what it means to live a balanced life, and also long-term consequences of imbalanced life. And in letter C, we talk about communication. And people are not often trained in communication. We learn about communication through people around us and how others communicate. And it's not always the optimal way of communicating. And sometimes inappropriate communication and the things that shuts down communication happens, and therefore there may be no communication. And so we talk about different components of communication and about active communication and what to avoid. D is about discipline, and in a sense that it's not top down, it's not do as you're told kind of discipline, but it's more about self-discipline, about self-management, self-initiation, accountability, responsibility, and it's to empower children to be able to self-discipline and self-manage. E is about encouraging pro-social behaviors. Oftentimes, we look at like sibling rivalries or peer conflicts or, defiance with adults, and we focus on those negative behaviors and want to correct them and fix them, but we don't pay enough attention to pro-social behaviors. And when I ask students and children about this, they say, well, it's really boring to be good. It's more exciting to be bad, because that's where all the attention is. And so encouraging parents to really make it exciting to be good, being kind, being patient, sharing, uplifting, all those pro-social behaviors need to be encouraged purposefully. F is about finding good in others. And, we need to practice that and saying, I had a situation where a parent would come to me and would talk about all the things that the child is doing wrong. And I said, go home and look for the good things, just, put that aside, put what you're thinking is not working aside, and look for the good things in your child. And she would come back the following week and say, oh my God, I did not know that she was getting ready for school on her own. I did not know that she was helpful. I did not know that she was not paying attention to those. And so it's easy for parents to really go to what is lacking, what is not working. And it's really purposeful in finding good and to really recognize that. G is to give responsibility. And this is a way of having kids contribute to the family, being a contributing member in the family, to be able to praise their achievement in being helpful, doing their responsibilities. So it's another way of setting up a scenario where you can recognize some of the goods that they do in contributing, and knowing that the parents are contributors and that they're doing their role, and as children that they are also contributing members. I often find in some meetings where when we talk about a student's behavior and not being responsible, the parents would say, I have them just focus on schoolwork. I just have them spend time on the academics, and I take care of all the other stuff. And then the child never learns to be responsible, and that behavior transfers to behaviors even in school where they're less responsible. So the practice happens at home, and it's up to the parents to set that scenario in giving that opportunity to be responsible. H is to help with challenging emotions. Parents often like to help with many things. They like to help with problem solving. They like to help with homework. They like to help with relationships with peers. But those are the areas where you allow, children to do, learn on their own, to practice on their own. But the area that they really need help with is in challenging emotions, and not to protect them from it or not to avoid it or minimize it, to recognize that children do feel frustrated, angry, sad, disappointed, upset, that those feelings are okay, and help them through it instead of avoiding it. So as they learn how to manage challenging behaviors earlier on, they will learn to manage them as they get older into adolescence and into adulthood. If they don't learn to handle challenging behaviors, the likelihood is that, they will be more inclined to take risky behaviors like drugs, alcohols, and addiction, and so there's this more chance of not dealing with these challenging emotions well. So we have to really help with these challenging behaviors earlier on, and encouraging parents on how to do that. I is to instill respect for self and others. And this is a value that we want to instill in all children, and it starts at home. And I tell parents that, when a child comes to the principal's office and is in trouble with other students and is having difficulty with relationships, the administrator would ask, what did you do that shows that you're respecting yourself, and what did you do to show respect for others? And how do we help you through it so that you can learn how to do better with it? And so if this is the conversation that's having in school, parents need to have the same conversation at home. And I ask parents, what do you repeat every day? And they would say, we say, did you do your homework? Or get off your phone, or don't play the video game so much, or but they don't often repeat the value of respecting self and others. And I said, this is something that you can repeat more so than any other things, where, during dinner time or before they go to bed, have a conversation about, did you make choices that are helpful and respectful for you? Did you make choices that are respectful for others? And what did you do? This is something that could be repeated more so than any other conversations. J is to join in establishing rules, where if children are part of the decision making in establishing household rules, then they are more likely to follow it. And then they also establish the consequences of breaking the rules, or even the positive consequences of making it work. So they're in the decision making so that they're more likely to follow and feel like it is a fair way rather than feeling unfair. And kids often get disappointed and also often have emotional challenges when they feel that things are unfair. And sometimes there are power struggles and conflicts when rules are not established, because when things just happen on emotions, it can seem unfair. So joining in and establishing rules together, it helps with the idea of fairness, and also more likely for it to be followed. K is to keep your promise. It's about building relationship. It's about trusting. It's about being a person that kids can rely on. And keeping your promise is that important, rather than minimizing promise that you keep with your kids. So we kind of talk about the importance of that and how that builds relationships. And L is about laugh together, find enjoyment in life, finding happiness, finding things that make everybody happy, or even during times of struggle, find ways to find humor, to kind of laugh at the mistakes you make and kind of let it roll off your shoulders. And I tell parents that this is an opportunity to kind of bank those good memories, those happy memories, because during the time when you're not available for them, later on in adolescence or in adulthood, when they're going through life challenges up and down, when they have happy memories, they are more likely to be resilient. They're more likely to say, I can get out of this. I can do better. They can seek happiness. They can seek way of enjoyment because they have experienced it. So, times when children do not experience happiness and things are so serious, or there's like conflict at home and all that, and they don't have good experience to fall back on, these are the kids who are more likely to be stuck in their problems and have a harder time being resilient, and can be suicidal because they don't have anything to look forward to. So, creating a situation where you can find joy in life and building positive memories is really an investment that's a lifelong investment. M is to model problem solving. We talk about modeling in many aspects, and many of the letters that we talk about is all part of that modeling. But the area that we really need to focus on modeling is about problem solving. Children often do not see parents problem solve. It's about the end of that problem solution, where this is what we're going to do, this is what we decided, and they don't think about the processes and the thinking process that go along with why the decision was made. And this is what the kids need to learn and hear from adults around them so that they know how problems are solved and there's more than one way to solve it, and that it's not just one way, or it's not black or white, or just yes or no, or good or bad. It's not dichotomous. It's more multiple perspectives and in problem solving, and kind of teach parents on how to do that, and the importance of really thinking your thoughts out loud to show children about how the problem is solved. And it's about never using physical force. And we talk about some of the studies and the statistics about the long-term negative consequences of physical force. And some parent would say, what is verbal force also included? Like, yeah, verbal abuse as well as physical force, because it has lasting damaging effect, emotional effect on children. And so N is to never use physical force or any kind of aggression in with pushing, pulling, yelling, or even like punishing. So it's about never with N. O is about opening your mind to possibilities, where you're able to learn from even children, where they may have new ideas and new creative ideas, or learn from your new experiences, so that you're not just narrow in just the way you think and your own experience, but also learning through the experience of others. And having this attitude of looking at possibilities, looking at solutions, and have a new way of thinking so that you can be more flexible in how you think, is to open your mind to possibilities. P is about practicing positive attention. It takes practice, because positive attention is something that we're not used to. I mean, we're grown up in a society and an environment where negative attention, trying to fix what is wrong, trying to be critical, to have kids make progress, or to really make changes and corrections with kids. So it's easy to go to the negative. That becomes more automatic, because as adults, you think that's the position that you're in and you're supposed to do that to make kids improve. So you have to really make a priority in practicing the positive attention, to really seek it out and to really let kids know about what you're noticing that is positive. Q is about quieting your voice. There's a myth about loudest voice wins the argument. And the parents think that louder you are, you get the kids' attention, you get them to behave, but you're giving the wrong message. They're getting the message that you're mad at them, that you're not happy with them, that they're no good. But your message gets lost when you're raising your voice. You want to quiet your voice so that you are calmer and that the emotions are not upset with kids, so that you're able to solve problems better. So you want to quiet your voice. R is remember to be present. In today's age, where there's lots of multitasking going on, people are busy, people have lots of thoughts and priorities. But when you are with your kids, it's time to turn off your phone, turn off your email, and to be present, because they will feel valued that way. They're not the ones to be multitasked, where you're giving yeah, okay, and never follow through. Kids don't feel valued if you are not present with them. So remember to be present. There are parents who could be there and can be absentee. And there's absentee parents because they're thinking about other things that are more important. So we don't want to do that. We want to be present with your kids when you're with them. So remember to be present. S is to show by your actions. Parents says a lot of do's and don'ts and say what is good for you, but kids really need to see that you really mean what you say, and that you are caring, you are patient, you are persistent, you are there for them, to be available for them when they need your help, to show that you care. So your action says a lot. So S is to show by your actions. T is to teach social skills. Parents think, oh, they're gonna get it. When they go to school, they learn from their friends and they're gonna mature and it's more automatic. That's their thoughts. But And just like we teach academic skills, and they like to spend time with homework and schoolwork and tutoring and spend a lot of time on the academics, not enough time is spent on teaching social skills at home. And the importance of social skills, that how people relate to each other. Kids, they're all growing and learning. And so sometimes if they learn from their kids, they learn in an appropriate way, sort of like bullying or the power and the imbalances we talked about. So we want to take time to teach social skills through things that they do. And we talk about that. U is to use natural consequences, where the tendency for some parents is to protect kids from natural consequences because they don't want kids to be upset or cry or be disappointed. And you wonder why later on that the child is not responsive or is not doing what they're supposed to and is not initiating. And it becomes a negative cycle. So we want kids to learn the cause and effect and the responsibility of their behavior and the consequences, and to be able to learn from that. So you don't want to protect kids from natural consequences, but you want to use it to help them learn to do better the next time. V is to value children's thoughts and feelings. And this is really consistent with the UN's children's rights to be heard, that children's thoughts and feelings are just as important as adults' thoughts and feelings. But in this world of hierarchy, where women are just now getting their voice, imagine children being in the lowest of the hierarchy and their voices have not been heard. They were asked to be seen and not heard. They're told not to cry. They're told not to cuss, fuss, and cause trouble. But we haven't valued them. We need to value their thoughts and feelings so that they feel that they could handle these thoughts and feelings and be there in the safe place. So we talk about how we do that in V. W is about waiting. Wait until you calm down before you react to a situation. Wait to have more clarity about the problem and understand the situation more, so that kids learn from this. Wait so that you're not saying things that is hurtful, that you're going to regret. So the waiting is important so that you're not causing emotional harm when you're upset. X is to expect the best. And I had to cheat a little bit with X. I couldn't find a word that begins with X. So it's expect the best. It's about getting kids to understand that they could be the best they can be in 5 different areas that we talk about here. And to expect that they can be better today than yesterday, be better tomorrow than today. And that we expect the best out of them in all regardless of their abilities or disabilities, that they could always make progress and improve in those 5 areas. So we're not minimizing or we're not downplaying just because we want to be collaborative or focusing on the positive and all that. We are still guiding them to be growing to the best that they can. Y is yes. Yes, we can create a culture to promote emotional intelligence. And culture is defined as a group of people who have similar beliefs and values or behaviors that are perpetuated over time. That is what culture is. So we can create the culture that promotes emotional intelligence and can be perpetuated. And Z is to zoom in on my own emotional intelligence each day. When we hear the Michael Jackson song about look in the mirror when you want to make change, change begins with us. So it's about zooming into our own emotional intelligence and how we handle problems, how we communicate, how we manage emotions, how we do things, and how we model problem solving and how we show kids about emotions. And so as we do it, it is more likely that the children will do it too. I want to share with you a video.
Helen?
Yes.
I think you have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes? Okay, yeah. Here's a video that I wanted to show.
I found this class extremely helpful. One of the things that meeting over a number of weeks so that we could review the concepts.
Can you put the voice loudly?
That came up for us or questions that we had. We could try things out and we could come back and give feedback to each other, and that was really helpful. Another part is that as a community with a number of families going through this type of a training, I think it helps us to support each other as parents. When we're not in the class, we can touch base with each other, but we also have an influence over each other's children in the sense that they come to our houses and we go to their houses, and I think it helps us as a community to try to grow in a similar direction in our parenting style. Another thing that I found was really helpful was because the class took a number of weeks, each concept was unpacked very clearly and concisely, and it gave a lot of time for giving specific focus on details of how you could make a concept come to life with your children, with your home, and in your own thinking. There was a lot of exploring how we parent and choices that we make and why we make the decisions that we do that could help us go home and reflect on being mindful and not just reacting in situations, and I found that extremely helpful.
I have to admit that initially I was a little skeptical and didn't want to make the time, but I'm very grateful that I did make the time to come in for the 13 weeks. And 13 weeks seems a long time, but it's an hour a week, which is not a lot of time. And the reason I like the structure is because whatever you learn every week, you can actually see how it applies to your life on that week and potentially what mistakes you're making, and then bring them back the next week and learn even more. So it's not a one shot and you forget and that's it. It really is a way to look into what's working and not working within your family structure. And some of the things that I learned, we implemented almost immediately. For example, we never had this notion of family meetings, and we've put that into the structure, and the kids actually like it. They have a voice. We also structure the family meetings in such a way that they get to tell us what they think is working and not working. And as an example, yesterday, they pointedly made the assertion that they don't like it when we yell, which is not uncommon. I suspect that many parents have that problem. And it's a way for them to, really voice their opinions and feel loved, feel wanted, feel heard, which they may not ordinarily. So the course really gave us tools, if you will. And what I'm taking away from the course is not only how we structure our family going forward and give the children I think a platform and a set of tools to just be a better version of themselves. But I think if more parents took the course, then it impacts the entire community. And if communities take the course, then impacts the country and the world, and from a global perspective. And we'll just have happier, more heard children who are not in this situation of domineering, to almost a totalitarian type regime of families that I know many of us have grown into, where it's an environment where they're just heard, and we understand ourselves through it and understand the children through it. And I think it just creates a really more healthy environment in general. So thank you for this, for the course. Really appreciate it. Really thank the stars that it has been offered here at Stockholm, and we had the opportunity to take it and be here. So thank you.
And I really appreciate for the long-term class because it's really helpful because it's just from the letter A to Z, we read all the letters every day. I can't remember all the letters, but sometimes just a letter comes into my mind, and it's really helpful in the detailed things. And when I recommend this class to our to my friend, I share the experience to them. They are really like it and they want more classes about that.
I think that this class has been useful in giving thoughts about many different areas of parenting that we do not spend enough time usually in our busy life to consider, to learn about parenting styles. And then this class teaches parenting style that is not, instead of controlling, is more collaborative. The aim is to have emotional intelligent children instead of just high achieving children. We spend so much time learning about our career, about our business, but we need spending more time in learning about what's very important for us, which is parenting. As a result, is happier children, but also happier parents. And this class will help you to be a better parent.
Hi, so I attended this 13-week program of emotional intelligent parenting, and I feel it has really helped us a lot. A couple of things being it's a 13-week long program, so it's not one class and just forget about it, and then too much of information is crammed, then you can't still remember. So this is like A through Z, so you have some sort of a learning tool right there to kind of remind you of a couple of alphabets. You can think about that and, you know, get back to that. And everything, whatever we learned here was very practical. Like I could apply almost everything to my daily life, how I deal with my kids, even with other people, like all the relationships. I could just put all this, what I learned here, in my life, and I feel it is awesome. It should be almost like mandatory to everyone coming to Stockholm, if that's the way we can spread it. It's really nice.
Thank you, Helen.
This is the last slide here, implications for school-based family counseling. There's an online training available at no cost with a promo code below. This resource can be used to be trained. You can be trained yourself so that you can use information to provide consultation for emotionally intelligent parenting. You can also inform parents for those who are more independent and can be trained in their own pace, and you can kind of point them to that direction. And you can also be trained yourself and with parents together and have like a video conference where you could talk about and discuss. And that's the aspect that parents really like, to be able to discuss it. And even when the pandemic is over, you can still have a small group and have discussions about, you know, how to be emotionally intelligent adults and parents. And so my website is here, and the promo code for trainers is on top. And I did a promo code for parents during this COVID. So it's EIQ Stay Home. And I think in this time when parents are spending more time with their kids in pandemic at home, frustrated with schoolwork and frustrated with stresses and whatever's going on in their lives, to have this opportunity to really give them the tools to be able to be better at relationships and communications and in other areas so that they could build relationship with their kids. And this is an opportunity to do it. Here's a resource for them that you can use to help parents. That'll be it.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate this presentation. And I think that the feedback that you share with us from the parents, it's talk about it and give you all the compliment that you can get for this wonderful work. I think that the A to Z recommendation that you, the guideline that you design is good not only for parents. It's good for parents, teacher, and all human being thinking about communication, respect, and all the nice value that you present in this guideline. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure people will have comments and question to your presentation. Yes, please. Any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Okay. I really appreciate very much your presentation. It is wonderful. And I think it is excellent idea to also work with teacher, as Nurit says recently, because many of these skills must be work in teacher, not only in parent. And open my mind, your presentation helped me to open my mind to incorporate this idea in our socio-cognitive program. So thank you for this presentation. Was for me wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you,
Helen,
Mirta.
Thank you.
Nurit, I'll not take much time. I just said that it was a wonderful work for a holistic development of children. It is applicable for each one of us as a parent, as a teacher, as a guardian, or whatever form. So everybody should remember the meaning of A to Z word, and I found it very fascinating. Thank you. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sibnat. Any questions?
I just have a comment, Helen, and hello, it's wonderful to see you. This was an amazing presentation. And what I particularly admire is the way that you have taken very complex and delicate goals for your parents and families and put them into these memorable, concrete categories, which, as we heard the participants, the woman who said, you know, the letter came into my mind. And I think that's just wonderful, because people are crying out for concrete things to grab onto. And you've given them this, but they're actually very, very profound. They're not simple or unimportant things. They're very important. So you've done beautifully. And I just wanted to say that I really thought back to Karen and Rebecca's presentation when you, in your introduction, you talked about the old style thing that the parent would say to the teacher, which is, go to the school and just be compliant and be obedient. And after the presentation this morning, I thought, well, that's just telling the child to depress herself. You know, go to the school, be depressed, have constrained affect. Yes, that's a horrible prescription. But your 26 prescriptions are wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to comment as well. One of our concerns in many countries, and recently here in South Africa, the law has been passed for no physical punishment, no corporal punishment. And one of the biggest, and then many parents have complained, is that how can I get my child to listen? The teachers complain that the children come to school undisciplined and they don't know how to respect, how to take responsibility. So while you were presenting, I was thinking, well, that is how we should attend to it. But my question is to you is, how do you manage to get the parents to attend? Because one of our challenges is getting parents to attend a series of workshops or a series of sessions during which they can train and practice these A to Z of parenting. I think your program, I mean, we've spoken about it before, is very well thought out, very practical, very concrete. but I have to get the parents to come.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge, particularly where parents are low income, have very dire situations, are very poor. Teachers don't have time to do this. The schools don't have school psychs or educational psychs to do the work. So the challenge is, how do I get the message to the parents?
Yeah, that is challenging. And what worked here is that it happened at school, and the administrator promoting it, and we were trying to spread the word and have everybody buy into it, and that you know, people are curious when others are talking about it. They're like, what are they talking about? You know, what's important here? And so it takes an effort from many people. The parents were saying, you know, when they did the testimonials, they really wanted to let other parents know that this is really good, that they, you know, so it's like a word of mouth. When they have a reliable person telling them that, oh, this is really good, you know, I want you to go and listen to it or be part of it. That's how parents were recruited, by word of mouth. And then having the culture of support, where administrator and the teachers are pointing in that direction. It's like, you know, you might want to listen to this, or you might want to go there. And having it in a school setting where parents don't have to worry about childcare in the evening, where when they're dropping off their kids, they can just kind of stay for an extra hour to go through this training. So they made it really convenient for parents. So this really works. And so, you know, another way is that if the parents are not able to, then I have the video where they could go online in this COVID days where it's cost-free. So, you know, when they are feeling challenged with their kids at home right now, working with them because they're supposed to do it because of the distance learning, it's just an opportunity to say, you might want to try this, you might want to learn about this. And as parents feel that it's valuable, they will talk to other parents and say, I tried it, this is really helpful for me, why don't you try it? So it's really spreading the word.
That's great, except that we don't all have internet accessibility, or our parents are sometimes lowly educated, so they don't have the internet accessibility to do it online. They don't have transport to get to the school. There's so many factors that I wish I had solutions, but I mean, I don't expect you to have a solution for complicated situations we have here.
Yeah. And it's all different in various places, and I understand that.
I like the idea of the word of mouth.
Thank you. Thank you, Gertina. I would like to ask Marlene to say the thank you.
Hi, Dr. Sung. I'm Mary Ellen Mullen in San Francisco. Hi, I loved your presentation. I did a different, similar type of group with UCSF for 10 weeks in the school with parents when I was a school counselor and the students. And so the success of what you're doing, I know is effective. I would love to see you do this in more schools. I really, really appreciated that you brought some very important things into your presentation, the brain health. You gave reparenting to parents who probably didn't get good parenting. You have a very gentle way of approaching this with language that is parent friendly. I think too many times we go and put psychological language in front of parents and they go home and they don't know what to do. So all of these parents love the A to Z model. So that was a wonderful success. I really appreciated that you're helping parents learn how to have their kids take responsibility, not protect them from learning how to manage difficult emotions through life, so that they're better prepared and more successful and more resilient, so that they don't fall into more risky behaviors as they get older. And I love that you're offering this for free. I think that's very generous of you. I don't know if that was from your grant, but thank you so much. I do so much parenting work, and I love this. I'm gonna watch your training, and thank you so much for bringing this forward. And I think, you know, there are so many uses. And one thought about parents who cannot come to a school is that you can do a little newsletter there where you could have a corner in a newsletter and have that go home once a week to parents and break those skills down to maybe 26 weeks. So thank you so much, Dr. Sung. It's very lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
And thank you, Helen. Thank you very much. We have 5 minutes for the next presentation and our last presentation for this webinar. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.